Elevated when I get to the penthouse. On top of my own, I feel like I'm Moses. In spiritual science, you know I'm devoted. I'm pulling your rank, you got demoted. I just want the money, I don't want the pain. It's you and I verse, so you know my name. Welcome everyone to Mental Gymnastics with Professor Zeus. I'm your host, Professor Zeus, and we'll be looking at a few news articles today. Okay? So I stumbled upon this video recently about, let me pull this up real quick. About the migrant crisis. So a lot of you guys know that as of recently, we've had kind of like a huge influx of migrants who are trying to come to America, and cities like New York City have kind of been on the forefront as far as sanctuary cities, stating that migrants are free to come here, be welcome here, but still don't take the real burden like states like Texas and all the other southern states that are really at that border. So I found this interesting. New York City Mayor Eric Adams suggests paying homeowners to house asylum seekers. Whoa. Okay, hold on. Let me share my screen. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna watch this video, and then at certain points we're gonna try to break it down. Okay. Let's see what we got. This is the
As the city shelter system buckles over the influx of migrants, officials coming up with new ideas on where to house asylum seekers. One new idea, the mayor suggested the city could pay people to house migrants in their apartments. Fox 5's Reagan Menchie is live in Midtown with more on this creative solution. Good morning, Reagan.
Good morning there, Dan. Yes, a creative solution, also a hypothetical right now, because if New Yorkers are willing to house asylum seekers, they could earn up to $125 a night. That would be money paid.
Okay, so right here, right? $125 a night. By all means, that's good money. $100 a night, $125 a night. But how many of you guys out there are actually willing to take $125 for migrants who are still, trying to get acclimated with the country, still trying to make that move to this country? My whole thing is, I always thought it was weird, just in these last years, because we've always had military veterans and stuff like that you'd see out and about, homeless and things like that. And anytime you try to find some sort of shelter for them, there would always be some sort of excuse. So I just find it interesting now that there's been money for large groups of marginalized people that can be used to find some sort of shelter. So if this $125 a day idea wasn't proposed when we had a lot of military veterans looking for space, isn't it funny, or isn't it interesting how we have this situation now where we have migrants coming into this country, and now the New York mayor is saying, hey, basically if you can house them, we pay you. The timing is very interesting to me.
For by the city. This as thousands of migrants continue arriving here in the city every week.
The closer we bring the asylum seekers and the migrants to everyday New Yorkers, the easier it will be for them to transition into society.
Okay, so what did he say? He said the closer we get the migrants to everyday citizens, the easier it would be to acclimate into society. I have no problem helping the next human, the next person with anything, as long as I'm in the means to actually assist them. But if I don't have the means to actually assist someone, wouldn't that technically mean I'm doing myself a disservice? I always make up, or not make up, but I always bring up the same, talking point. You've ever flown in an airplane, and then when you're flying, they say in case of any emergencies and the gas mask come down, they always say you gotta make sure you put your mask on, secure yourself first before you can even help, the person sitting next to you. How come we can't use that same logic or that same ideology here? We have so many problems right now in America, like serious problems. So if we can't help ourselves, how do we think we can help these migrants who are coming, right? I was just talking to my wife about it. I'm like, yo, babe, if we lived in New York and they said, they'd pay us $125 a day if we were able to house, migrants and stuff like that, how would you feel? She was like, nah, there's a lot of security issues and different things to that. But people can still do it. What about Airbnb? I said, well, the thing with Airbnb is everyone's information is documented. Like, before I can even book an Airbnb, I got to show them my driver's license, all this other stuff to verify who I am. But if we're living in a situation where a lot of people aren't even we don't properly know everyone who's coming into this country, doesn't that have some sort of potential security issue? And I'm not saying that every single person or every single migrant is bad or anything like that, but I'm just saying, if we have this much of an influx and we don't really know who's who, is the best decision right now to offer New York residents $125 a day to house these same people? Like I said, $125, that's good money, but are you going to do it?
Week, thousands of single adults and families arrive here on buses from border states, and finding housing for everyone has become increasingly difficult. So Mayor Eric Adams is floating an idea, asking private homeowners to share their space. Those willing will be paid by the city.
It's cheaper and it's a good investment for us to go to a family and assist them instead of placing people in large congregate settings or in these emergency hotels.
Technically, short-term rentals of 30 days or less are illegal in New York City. So if this is going to be something less than 30 days, they would have to change the existing law.
New York City.
So, yeah, I'm not saying, nobody wants to help these individuals, but I'm just saying, there's a process for everything. You know what I'm saying? There's literally a process for everything, and what they just said is it's going to be a 30 days transition and stuff like that. I just don't know, because me, this channel is you and I verse for a reason. I teach you, you teach me, but when we have this type of delicate situation, how do you go about still being righteous, still being just, if where you live, your environment is not just and needs a lot of work? If I didn't have everything set in stone, or if I didn't have all my eggs in the basket or all my eggs in a row, and I was messed up, I didn't have all my priorities straight, how can I help the next person get to that next level if I'm not even where I want to be? Wouldn't it make more sense for me to actually work on myself more before I help that next person? Because if I'm able to be my best self, I'd be able to provide my best self to that person in order for them to get to their best self. But if I'm messed up, then I'm just going to pass everything that's going on with me in a negative way to that next person. So who's it really helping?
Civil rights attorney Ken Belkin says the mayor could issue an executive order to temporarily change laws, which could open up his honor to litigation. And he's already created controversy for previous plans to house migrants, such as housing men in tents on the Orchard Beach parking lot, then Randall's Island, both scrapped amid flooding concerns. Placing migrants in school gyms fell flat with parents and students.
Placing migrants in school gyms? Wow, the parents said they wasn't having that. That's crazy.
And just yesterday, in an exclusive report on Good Day New York, Fox 5 reporter Morgan Mackay explained a new effort. Starting next month, nearly 1,000 migrants will be housed in 50 churches and houses of worship. These faith-based shelters will be open from 7 at night to 7 in the morning.
Let me tell you, all these faith-based sanctuaries they talking about, they're only doing this because they're going to get paid. I hope you realize that. The church is not going to do anything for free. They're not going to just open the doors for no reason. If you're not coming with that check, you got to check in somewhere else. That's how they're going to play the migrants too. It's unfortunate because these are places of worship, right? I guarantee you, they will not open their doors if no money was coming with this situation. I guarantee it.
The migrants will then be moved to daytime centers, which will also be faith-based operated, but paid for by the city. Another option to shelter migrants, the old postal warehouse at JFK Airport. The FAA just gave its approval, saying the space has adequate security and safety plans in place for housing.
And city officials say more than 45,000 migrants are currently in the care of the Department of Homeless Services. Now, the price tag for that is $4.3 billion.
Wow.
And as you can imagine, Mayor Adams is now looking at the fact that he may have to, in order to make those payments, have to make some cuts across the city. We're live here in Midtown. Reagan Medji, Good Day, New York.
So you saw what she said right there, right? How many billion was that again?
He may have to, in order to make those payments. Mayor Adams is now looking at the fact that he may have to, in order to make those payments, have to make some cuts across.
So they're talking about billions, and they're talking about cuts. Where are those cuts going? Where are those cuts coming from? Are those cuts going to affect you? Are those cuts going to affect me? I don't know. My question just is, for $125 a day, will you be willing to house a family of migrants in your house or apartment today or tomorrow? Just whatever state you're in, whatever condition you're in right now, you let me know in the comments if you're willing to, assist migrants. And keep in mind, I'm not saying that these people don't deserve help. I'm not saying that these people are automatically bad people. My only question is, we need a lot of work ourselves. If everything that we got going on isn't 100%, would lending a helping hand right now make the most sense for us, right? And the next story I literally wanted to talk about was, give me 1 second, something that happened in Philadelphia. Hold on. 45. Yeah. I-95 collapse in Philadelphia. Everything we know. This one could take a little while to fix. A segment of I-95 collapsed in northeast Philadelphia after a vehicle apparently caught fire beneath an overpass at the Cottman Avenue exit. Commuters who drive this route will want to seek alternatives as repairs are expected to take months, according to Governor Josh Shapiro, who toured the aftermath Sunday afternoon. SEPTA is working to add services to lines that run nearby. No injuries or fatalities were immediately reported. So I've always been a big proponent of that, right? Let me stop sharing. Understanding how infrastructure plays a big deal with everyday life. You have New York currently willing to, create billions of dollars in order to be able to house migrants in your house. At the same time, Philadelphia, very close to New York, just had one of their major overpasses on the I-95, beltway collapse. So like when stuff starts this week, when the 9 to 5 rush starts, it's gonna be very hectic, right? But we're willing to pay everyday citizens to house people when we can use this money to actually help our situation right now. But maybe I'm the one who's looking at it crazy. You guys tell me what you guys think. Are you willing to spend, or are you willing to receive $125 a day in order to help migrants in your specific household? If the choice was yours, would you do it? You let me know. This is Mental Gymnastics with Professor Zeus. I'm gonna catch you guys next time. It's you and I verse for a reason. Elevated when I get to the penthouse. On top of my own, I feel like I'm Moses. In spiritual science, I'm devoted. I'm pulling your rank, you got the motive. I just want the money, I don't want the fame. It's you and I verse.